My name is Susan Stryker, and today I'd like to teach you how to make a magic window letter. My students use them to label their artwork. This student made a mola, which the Kuna Indians make in Panama, and she's written Panama in magic window letters. They're magic because you can make all 26 letters of the alphabet with one shape, and they're windows because they look like double-hung windows. Let me show you how to make one. There is a chart in all my recent books, Meet the Masters and Passport to Art, that's color-coded and gives you very clear directions on how to make them. First you take your rectangle. You got your rectangle by cutting up a strip, and you wanted all of the rectangles to be the same height, so you cut them before you ever make your letters. Hold your rectangle vertically and fold it in half like a person bowing from the waist. And then take the folded end and fold it up in the direction of the open end, but don't bring it all the way to the top. Leave just a smidgen of space. And then into the folded side, you cut up, across, and down. Save your little scraps because you may be needing them later. And here you have a magic window. I'm going to do that again. Remember to make all your rectangles before you begin. And keep a small envelope handy with your name on it. As you make a letter, put it in the envelope so that at the end of the art period, there's no cleanup to do. Fold your paper in half like a person bowing from the waist. Take that fold, not the open end, but the fold, and fold it up in the direction of the open end, but don't bring it all the way up. Leave us a little space there, and cut up, across, and down. And there you have a magic window. Some letters don't have crossbars. You can see that this would be a line in an E or an F or an A. Some letters, like the letter O, the letter D, don't have crossbars. And so there's no point in making them and cutting them off. So what I do is cheat just a little bit. I fold my paper the same way, in half like a person bowing from the waist. I don't fold it again. I put my scissors into the fold and cut up, across, and down. And that's for all the letters that have no crossbar, which are shown on the chart I give you in Meet the Masters and Passport to Art in blue. So set those aside, and we're going to begin. Here's a magic window that I'm going to turn into the first letter of the alphabet, A. And sometimes, if you like, you can cut a little triangle off. And here we have the letter A. B. I'm going to cut a triangle in the center, and I have a B. Some people like to cut a triangle off at the top and the bottom as well. You may want to do that. C was one of those letters that does not have a crossbar, so I just cut that edge out. And of course, it's not curvy like a C, but I think it's very legible as a C. D, again, has no crossbar, and that's just two little triangles off the corner, and you have a perfect D. E, I'm going to cut my centers of those middle rectangles, and I get a perfect E every time. And of course, that same shape becomes an F. G is another letter that sometimes people get confused with because we're so accustomed to seeing how round it is. But look at it and just see how to square it off. That would be something that would be missing. And this. So now we have a G H, for an H, it's almost existing already. And you want to be careful not to do this, because if you do, your H would be shorter than all your other letters. So to keep it the same height, you want to cut from the inside and take the top and the bottom off through the inside of the H. Sometimes I do this for I. It's not from a magic window, it's just from one of my scraps. I'll show you another way to make an I in a minute. J is a letter that has no crossbar. That would also be an L. To make a K, start with the letter H. That's just an easy way to remember it. And then take a little triangle out of the center and turn that H into a K. If you were making an X, you would do the same thing on both sides. And there you have an X. M is shown in red here. M, W, N, and T are made with the magic window lying on its side horizontally. You can see that if I did a magic window this way, it would be shorter than all my other letters. So I have to do it this way, but the only way to do that is to turn the magic window on its side. So to make that, instead of holding the paper vertically, I hold it horizontally. Other than that, I do the same thing. I fold it like a person bowing from the waist. And then I take that folded edge, bring it up to the open edge, but not quite, leaving just a little smidgen of space. Cut up into the fold, across, and down. And there you have your magic window facing in the other direction. If I used it this way, it wouldn't be consistent. Using it this way makes it the same size as all my other letters. And to make an M, I just do this, and if I decide to, I can cut a little triangle out of the top middle, and that's an M and a W. An N is made the same way. I cut the bottom, I cut the top, and I have an N. I think that looks just a little bit clumsy, so I do mine another way, which is not magic window. Let me show you that alternative. That is just cutting a triangle out of the bottom and a triangle out of the top. And you can decide which one you like better. The one that I made out of a horizontally held magic window, or the one I made freehand. O, of course, is very easy. You can use it just the way it is, or, again, this is a letter without a crossbar. Cut all four corners off, if you like. Okay, now we're going to make a P. And then, very similar way is to make an R. Cut that little triangle out of the middle as you did for the B, and cut the bottom out. And there you have an R. S, again, don't get confused because it's not curvy. Just think about what parts wouldn't be missing from this shape. And you have a perfect S with just two very small cutouts. Just remember to square it off. T is another one of the letters that we make by holding the magic window horizontally instead of vertically. And I can make a T that way. That's the second way to make an eye, and you can just cut your ends off. There's your capital I. U has no crossbar, so I go back to my shapes that have no center line, and I cut my U, or I can turn it into a V. X I already showed you, very similar to the K. Y, begin as if you were making an H, and then you cut the bottom off. Here you have a Y. And Z. Again, that's a little bit confusing because we're so accustomed to our diagonal line going right down the middle. Just stop and think what's missing, as you did with the S. And give yourself that little diagonal this way.